before this movie. So I always lead with that because I think I had an into their weirdness, which is apparently the same womb of my weirdness. So people are always like, when you got the script, were you like, what? And I was like, no, this totally makes sense. But I feel like, and it's such a testament, honestly, to these two, because everything that you see is really on the page. And I just dug up the binder that I used when we first started prepping in like 2019 and then filmed in 2020. And I had written out like a map of the whole movie. And it is weird now, you know, with the film being what it is and having spent so much time away from it, being like, how did we do that? Like, I read the notes and it's like, yeah, and then she had the hot dog fingers, and then, and I'm like, why did that make so much sense? But I think, you know, again, it's just because these two had such a strong hold on the core of the film that at any moment where we felt like, wow, it's week 3 and wait, what is this again? We could always return to the Daniels and be like, hey, let's make sure that we're coming home to the core of the story, which is about this family. So even as wild as the universes go, it felt like we all trusted each other and wanted to tell the same story, even as we jumped from world to world.
We used to have a joke on set. Sometimes before we said action, we'd just say, remember guys, this is a family drama. And then we say action. So Michelle Yeoh would be cracking up because she's holding the 2 trophies and like crying from laughter. And the guys, it's drama.
I heard that Jamie Lee had like a technique to keep herself from laughing. She would stab herself with her
Yeah. Day 1, she takes staples or her fingernail, because Key kept laughing on that first day, do you remember? And so Jamie was
Guy,
like,
I remember saying, I'm out of here. You are all so unprofessional. We shot the final scene, remember? Our first shot, that was then the family was sitting there, James Hong, and I'm supposed to be looking at my lovingly at my family, and all they were doing, looking at Jamie, and they were like, and he was the worst offender. He literally like a...
It's because James Hong kept burping on purpose.
and-
Yeah, like he was trying to punch up the scene. Yeah.
James Hong didn't think our script was very funny, so he kept adding jokes.
It was like, oh my God, what have I let myself in for?
But it was a testament to how good you are. Like, that was our first day working with you, and I was like, oh my God, she's not breaking. And in fact, she's getting emotional while these idiots are just laughing around.
It was a good sign.
But now, Michelle, I feel like when you first read the script, your character's name was Michelle. I'm assuming you guys are trying to make sure that you flattered her into saying yes to the part.
We're not very good at coming up with character names.
No.
So-
You were determined to call her Michelle.
Yeah.
And I said to them, okay, when I read the script, I was like, okay, I have to meet these guys. Either they are geniuses, wacky geniuses, or they're certifiably insane. And I remember at the hotel, we met, and I said, well, there is a deal breaker here. If you are not going to change it, it's not going to work between us. The name, she's not called Michelle. And they're like, but. I'm like, no, but. You can't, because the whole time, all of you will be thinking, oh, that's Michelle Yeoh on screen, right? And it's so distracting. And this woman, Evelyn Wong, deserves her story to be told and her life to be, you know, her chance to be a superhero. So after about 5-10 minutes, I thought, okay, I believe these two. I think they have passion. And I've always wanted to know, how the hell did they come up with a script like that? Yeah? Yeah? How?
We always wanted to make a movie about Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, you inspired it.
You
No,
tore that away from us. This is our only opportunity.
I don't own a laundromat. How does that work? I don't have a beautiful daughter that was rebellious and a tough nut to crack. And I don't have an adorable little husband like Key.
No, John is pretty.
So?
Actually, I mean, I will say that we're really grateful to Michelle for forcing us to change it, because I do think it does take it away from, a lot of our stuff kind of teeters on being a little too meta, a little too self-aware, and she kind of pulled it into, into a story about an actual person, a real human being that you might, walk by on the street, and I think that was actually,
It was so helpful to watch, to let Evelyn be a real woman, and you made her real, and sometimes we, out of self-consciousness, can do these meta jokes and stuff, like Paul Dano's character in Swiss Army Man is named Hank Toms. It was Hank Toms, because it was just Tom Hanks mixed up.
because it was a castaway joke.
It was like a castaway joke, and then eventually it was Hank Thompson, but anyway, we just have dumb jokes that aren't like
It's not because we
good for
think
the
they're
movie.
good jokes, it's because we're just lazy sometimes.
Yeah, but so thank you. But and then I don't know how we come up with movies, but I was trying to think of an answer that I could say here, and I think we came up with a challenge that sounded interesting to us, like a couple challenges, and then spent a few years trying to like crack that puzzle, and then everything else kind of just came from like the challenge of like an action adventure movie starring one of our parents that goes through so many universes that it ends up trying to tackle meaninglessness, and so once we had that kind of existential goal and also the genre goal, we just spent years kind of throwing things at the wall, but we had a container for it, so then even all the weirdness kind of felt logical, I think, to us, and we kind of lost track of how it was even weird after a year of writing. It was like, no, we gotta crack the nut,
But what I admire so much about the script you put together, about the performances everybody put together, is it does feel like an everything sort of film. Like, not only is it built with this like amazing star performance, Michelle, your first time top lining the call sheet here in the States, which is unbelievable to me. It's so well deserved. But also has space to great stars, to show us ranges of people. It is like such a true ensemble film. Also, you bring characters back. Everybody gets an emotional climax of their own. And I kind of just want to dig into the mechanics of putting this film together, maybe by just like breaking down a scene. I was thinking I would love to talk just about the scene where, Eleanor meets Jobu for the first time, the dildo fight in the hallway scene. Because that scene has high emotion, that scene has high drama, that scene has the revelation of your character, who I think is so interesting. And I'm really I want to hear also from you about toggling back and forth between giving us this empathetic, relatable joy, and then this Jobu who's almost beyond comprehension for such a long time, and connecting those characters the way you do. And then just staging this physically. That's a huge question, but I kind of want to hear from all of you about how this is just done.
Do you want to start, Jobu?
Sure. Well, dildos. My favorite type, just kidding. Well, I feel so this was, my first big film. I had done little student films and stuff, or indie, low budget, invisible budget films, one of those before this, which I think actually helped me prep for this, the beast of making a complete story. But I come from the world of theater, which has beginning, middle, and end. So when you're rehearsing a project or developing something, you know where the story's gonna end. And so I think I had the luxury with the Joy Jobu character of being able to swing Jobu super far, especially in that entrance scene, because I knew that the parking lot scene was gonna happen. So I really wanted to, kind of boomerang her as far as I could go. And of course, with the Daniels too, we liked to unleash the chaos, and they gave me so much permission / kind of forced me to constantly explode things. But I think that's my favorite thing about movies, right? Is that you're sculpting something together so you know where you have to end up. So all things have to kind of mold towards that, and along the way you're acquiring all these new pieces of information that are collectively helping you shape the same thing that then may disappear in the editing room, but it's in the fabric of it. But that film, I mean, that scene was like the first real scene that we got to shoot together, and that was
Your first
the
scene that you shot together.
yeah, well, the last scene, I just am there and I'm on my phone, and that was the first official scene, but that was the first real acting scene. And in hindsight, that's crazy. That was rude of y'all to do. I think up until that point, we had talked about the scenes, we had talked about the dildos, we were like, okay. And then all of a sudden we got there on the day, I'm like in an Elvis costume, there's a pig, and it's like, the Michelle Yeoh. And I'm like, oh no, oh my gosh. And I pulled the Daniels aside and I was like, can you tell everybody when Jobu's gonna come out? Because I don't wanna scare Michelle and she's gonna think I'm so weird. And you guys keep telling me to do weird things, but she doesn't know that I have to do the weird things. So can you just prepare everybody?
I remember that, yeah.
Do you
I mean,
remember?
yeah, we did. We tried to prep everybody.
They'd be like, okay.
Well, including the camera team, we were asking her to surprise us, so like, please try to just
keep her in the frame.
in focus, I guess. Yeah.
But for context, I think it's important to say that the first time we played with you and Jobu in the audition, we literally would tell you to, you do a pass. I'm like, that was amazing, really well done, but ruin the scene now. Like, what can you do right now to make fun of the movie without actually saying it? Like, what can you do to kind of break outside of what we've written? And she started like singing, and she started just like, she would get distracted halfway through and get into like, fall into another scene before falling back into our movie, and it was magical and terrifying. And actually, we showed it to our producers, and they were like, what is this? What?
That's not the script.
But we're so grateful that Stephanie was like, brave enough to trust us and know that like, show us the ugly stuff, show us everything you got, knowing that we would help you curate, and I think that was a very vulnerable place for us to begin. And so we had to translate that onto a set with a lot of people, and I think that's what was really making you nervous, was like, we'd be like, okay, now blow it up, and you weren't ready to do that with everyone. But I think that's why, even some of the stuff you did, we couldn't have written. Like, one of my favorite things that came out of that audition was you saying, sucked into a bagel, and we were just not expecting it, and we're like, what is happening? This is awesome. But I think on the other side of it, Michelle, you want to talk about your experience that day? Because I remember we went up to Michelle and was like, she might improv?
My hood was like, I don't do improv, okay? What's not on the script is not happening, okay? She said, but Stephanie's a little, she can be a little weird and out there. Don't be surprised. And then when she walks in with the Elvis suit and a little pig, it's like, okay, and that says it all. And next thing I know was this dildos being flung around. Okay, I get it. I totally get her. No, but everyone was so invested, from Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, this woman, she sweeps and literally, right? Blows your mind away, and then she sweeps out again. Oh, bye, Jamie. Okay, nice seeing you. And then the amazing Key. We have missed him, and we didn't even know it. He was so good. He was a squirrel, a fox, and a falcon. Aha, do you know what? So, Wayman Wong is the squirrel. The one is always like doing lovely things and googly eyes. And then the fox is the charismatic Wong Kar-wai homage, where he was so debonair and good looking and suave. And then the falcon was Alpha Wayman with the fanny pack. Well, Rakakuni, we don't even have to talk about you.
We should
I mean,
talk
he's just amazing. You just say,
He was
okay,
controlling
go,
me.
Harry, and you're like,
I will say that out of all the Halloween costumes I've seen, I think I've seen more Rakakuni.
Of the Rakakuni?
Yeah,
With
this
the
is like, I think
raccoon
you're
on
the winner
top?
for cosplay, so.
Oh, we have one, right?
Well, actually, a couple words about your Rakakuni. That was actually, well, A,
Flowers. That's good for your circulation.